Uh-oh. Okay, we'll start with this. Katie's call, 20 years in the making. Katie Taylor teases huge announcement and leaves fans speculating Croke Park. Taylor's fans have had many theories over what the announcement could be ahead of her trilogy fight with Amanda Serrano. The teaser features a black screen slowly brightening to display Taylor staring at the camera in black and white with the message June 12th, 2025 appearing. Taylor is preparing for her historic trilogy fight with Amanda Serrano on July 11th in Madison Square Garden. Despite Taylor being 2-0 up in the trilogy, bookmakers have made Serrano out to be the favorite going into the fight. But first, she has an announcement to make to her fans via Instagram, and it has fans speculating. One fan commented she's going to announce she's going to run for presidency of Ireland, and she's got my vote. Another speculated, I think she's going to announce retirement after her next fight. But the general consensus from the comment section is that a Croke Park fight might be on the cards. One user commented, Croke Park. Taylor has also shared well-received clips of her fight preparation on the punching bag to her fans on Insta. Well, today is the 12th, and to my knowledge, Katie has not yet made any announcement. Perhaps she will by the time that this video is uploaded, though if nothing else, this brings our attention to what happens if Katie Taylor wins the trilogy. What happens if she goes 3-0 against Amanda? I would imagine she might try to have a homecoming fight. I would imagine she might try to have a trilogy with Chantel Cameron. They're 1-1 with each other. It's the natural assumption that Katie might decide to cap off her career with another fight against Chantel if she beats Amanda. But if she loses, well, that would be a very different situation. That would put Katie in a very different position. Now, I don't think there would be a fourth fight with Amanda. This will be the last one. And if Amanda wins it, I figure that Amanda would retire off that win. Katie, I'm not so sure. Whenever the subject of retirement is broached, she always makes it seem like she's got one or two more big fights left in her. So in a situation where she loses to Amanda, with Amanda, you already see she's stepping into a managerial role over there at MVP. Whereas with Katie, it's not quite clear. You know, if she wins, maybe she does another fight, but if she loses, does she retire off of that loss? Some are asking if Katie Taylor is 2-0 so far, why is she fighting Amanda again? And put simply, the money. The very obvious answer is the money. Netflix is willing to pay them a fortune to run it back one more time. And those kinds of opportunities, those kinds of paydays for a woman boxer, no woman boxer can afford to pass them up. Not even Katie and Amanda. I'm excited about the trilogy if for no other reason than I know they're gonna go balls to the wall. It's gonna be a shootout, just like the first two were. After the stinker in Times Square, you can approach the Taylor vs. Serrano trilogy with renewed appreciation that these girls ain't gonna waste your time and just run the clock, waltz around the ring, staring at each other. They're gonna fight. Unlike Devin Haney's anticlimactic fight with Jose Ramirez or Ryan Garcia's fumble with Rolly Romero, the fight between Katie and Amanda will deliver all the action that those fights did not. You wonder that Katie Taylor isn't tempting fate, fighting Amanda Serrano for a third time, because this time she might get her. It's the intrigue and the card in its entirety, I can tell you that from top to bottom, these are all going to be action fights. So I am very excited. What could be the final chapter in both Katie and Amanda Serrano's storied careers, though addressing what Katie Taylor might do after the trilogy, I suppose that all depends on what happens in the third fight. If Katie wins, she might fight Chantel, but if she loses, it's not quite clear. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, the continued fallout of Turki El Sheikh's recent PSA addressing runners and movers, guys who go into a fight trying not to fight, and how he doesn't want to see any more Tom and Jerry fights on his Ring Magazine and Riyadh Season shows. To that, fellow content creator Goodfella TV said, what Turki El Sheikh really means when he says no runners on Riyadh Season cards, no coloreds allowed. Now, some are interpreting this as Turki El Sheikh's aversion to using black fighters on his shows. Now, I don't agree with this at all. I don't agree because Turki just said he wants to use Abdullah Mason on one of his shows. He would like to see him box on the undercard of Canelo versus Crawford. So if it were the way that Goodfella TV is making it out to be, I don't think that Turki would have made that recommendation, but there is something to be addressed there, that Turki, like a lot of people, doesn't like pure boxers. It's the least liked base style in all of boxing. I think it's important to make this distinction. The base style and fighters of a certain region or of a certain denomination, not every pure boxer comes from America, not every pure boxer is a black fighter. Sky Nicholson is one example. She's a pure boxer and she's a white woman from Australia. Michael McKinson of the United Kingdom, he's not black either, but he's definitely a pure boxer. Sandor Martin, he's from Spain, but like Michael McKinson and Sky Nicholson, he's a pure boxer too. So not every pure boxer comes from this region of the world, and not every pure boxer looks the same, but they get the same complaints. What people don't like about pure boxers, movers and jabbers, is they don't engage enough. They don't show enough killer instinct. Not enough action. The reason someone might rush to judgment that Turki was talking about black fighters is because he was likely talking about William Skull and his performance against Canelo, and he might have also been talking about Devin Haney, his performance against Jose Ramirez that wasn't any better. And I can definitely see how Goodfella TV got there. And in a very general sense, the pure boxer base style has been correlated to American and or Cuban fighters of the same race. So I see why he made that association. But when Turki said what he said, I don't think he said that with black fighters in mind, black fighters specifically, just the ones that run, the runners. Nobody likes them. A brief history lesson, nobody's ever liked them. It wasn't really until after Floyd retired, after the Mayweather era, that you started seeing more and more young fighters emulating that base style, not even realizing who you're emulating is a Floyd Mayweather in his mid-30s who developed hand issues over time. Because when he was the same age as a lot of you younger guys, he didn't even used to fight like that. When he was the same age that Devin Haney is now, the same age that Shakur is now, he didn't used to fight like that. The version of Floyd they're emulating is a Floyd Mayweather in his mid-30s who had developed hand issues over time. So if you've seen a proliferation of pure boxing, that base style in the last 8 or 9 years, that would be the why, that would be the reason, and that's who a lot of guys are trying to emulate. I never saw so many guys coming out using a Philly shell. Floyd Mayweather popularized that too, but don't take offense if anybody calls those fighters boring, those fighters that are trying to emulate Floyd, because they used to say Floyd was boring, remember? And you guys are trying to fight like him. So if they were calling him boring when he did it, why wouldn't they say the same thing about them? That base style, a lot of people don't like it, because we're not all gathered here today to watch you play keep away from your opponent. You're supposed to be trying to take it to them. Now, if you want to associate that particular base style with a particular group of people, you can, but all the same, people don't like it. Most people don't like it. This is supposed to be a boxing match, not a game of freeze tag. It's supposed to be a fight, not track and field, not a race. This is not an N1 game where you're trying to shake and bake and break the other guy's ankles. No. Not trying to see you do tricks with the ball. This is boxing. And the main problem people got with pure boxers is they spend a hell of a lot more time moving away from the target, then taking it to them. That's the main indictment. There's not enough action, not enough output.
It's not entertaining. When a Shakur Stevenson is getting booed in a show that he's headlining in his own hometown with Edwin De Los Santos, why do you think that was? When people complain about the Haney versus Ramirez fight.
Even if you are one of these boxing snobs, boxing hipsters that watches boxing for the footwork and the movement and the defense, you're in the minority, pal. Most people don't watch boxing for that shit, and they don't have to apologize. People got their preferences to what they want to see to where they don't have to cater them to you and your sensitivity.
Saying that a fighter is boring is racist?
Didn't you see the fighters that he did mention? The fighters that he does want to use on his shows? Abdullah Mason, who is not a pure boxer. Christian Mbilli.
He's not a pure boxer either.
But they are both black fighters. So Turki's aversion has more to do with how the fighters fight than how the fighters look. You've rushed to assumption it's because you're the one making the correlation between black fighters and pure boxers.
Even though not every black fighter is a pure boxer.
I can tell you that boxing as a product does not need more fighters like that. We don't need more Mayweathers. We need more Roy Jones Jr.'s. We need more Sugar Ray Leonards, Sugar Ray Robinsons.
Not more Mayweathers. We need more Marvin Haglers. We need more Tommy Hearnses, Mike Tysons, Joe Frazier's.
Not more Mayweathers or fighters that are trying to emulate him. Boxing doesn't need that. In this country, what boxing needs is an air of spontaneity and intrigue. Boxing needs excitement, and fighters like Floyd don't provide that.
Pure boxer's entire modus operandi is to slow down the fight and fight at a controlled pace.
Pot-shotting, only 1 and 2 punches at a time, careful enough not to get countered. That's why they're boring. Doesn't matter where they're from or what they look like. So long as that's how they're fighting, the complaints, the criticisms are gonna be the same.
And frankly, I don't blame Turkey for taking a hard-line stance against these Mayweather wannabes.
He is the one cutting the checks after all. Is he not within his rights to orchestrate an event the way that he would want it? He's the one paying for it.
Just in keeping with the theme of fighters that Turkey would like to see box on his shows, Christian Mbilli is mindful of Masiej Sulecki, but willing to fight anybody on the Canelo versus Crawford undercard.
Turki El Sheikh issued a statement on Tuesday expressing his desire to showcase young and hungry fighters who are all about action-packed fights on the September 13th show in Las Vegas, headlined by the Canelo vs. Crawford super fight. From this point on, I don't want to see any more Tom and Jerry type boxing matches where one fighter is running around the ring and the other is chasing him, El Sheikh wrote on social media. We can no longer support these kinds of fights with Riyadh Season and the ring. We want to support fighters who leave it all in the ring and fight with heart and pride. Sitting atop the list of attractions El Sheikh named as his desired fighters to feature were the Ring WBC and IBF Bantamweight champion Gento Nakatani, hard-hitting super middleweight contender Christian Mbilli, and lightweight phenom Abdullah Mason. If you are interested, you and your teams know how to find me, El Sheikh said. El Sheikh's open call is music to the ears of Mbilli's promoter Camille Estefan, who is preparing the Cameroonian-Canadian contender for his fight against Masiej Sulecki June 27th for the WBC interim super middleweight title.
That's the caveat with Christian making an appearance on that show. If he's fighting at the end of this month, him coming back in September is a quick turnaround. It's kind of tight.
For him to make it, he would have to make short work of Masiej Sulecki with minimal wear and tear because he'd be going right back into a fight camp the following month. We have important business to take care of on June 27th against Sulecki, Estefan, CEO of Eye of the Tiger Management, told The Ring. We can't take Sulecki lightly. He just knocked out Ali Akhmedov, and his motivation must be high. But Christian is willing to fight anybody and everybody. The only thing we ask is one at a time. I am very happy to see that guys who bring the action to the ring will be part of that great undercard on a great night. Christian is looking forward to being part of it. Boxing has to entertain the fans, so I am glad to hear guys with a fan-friendly style are the ones who will be considered. We need real fighters and not runners.
Not pussies.
Nobody wants to see that shit, and nobody has to apologize for not wanting to see that shit.
Yeah.
Mbilli, 28-0 with 23 KOs, is ranked by The Ring as the #1 super middleweight contender in the world. If he beats Sulecki 33-3 with 13 knockouts at the Videotron Center in Quebec City, he'll be sitting pretty as a future WBC mandatory challenger for the winner of the fight between Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Alvarez's manager and trainer and lifelong confidant, Eddie Reynoso, stated earlier this year that they would be interested in a matchup against Mbilli. And Canelo versus Mbilli as a fight would be the exact opposite of the Williams Skull fight. Christian is not going to spend 36 minutes circling away from Canelo. He would try to take it to him like he does with everybody else, because pressure fighters, they don't change much from one fight to the next. Canelo or somebody else, what Mbilli's going to do,
It's the same.
he's going to come forward, he's going to throw punches and bunches.
It's the same.
Now, given that he's fighting at the end of this month, I don't know that he makes it to that September show. That is a very quick turnaround. In tandem with his position in the WBC's ranked standings, he's very close to becoming the mandatory challenger for the winner of Canelo versus Crawford. Does he want to jeopardize that by taking on a risky opponent on that undercard? I suppose that all depends on what they're willing to pay him.
One fight that almost immediately comes to mind would be a fight between Christian Mbilli and Jose Resendiz.
Jose Resendiz that just upset the apple cart for Caleb Plant. Jose Resendiz, who now sits via the WBA, where Christian Mbilli sits via the WBC. Jose Resendiz, who like Christian Mbilli, is a pressure fighter. A fight between them would be World War III, where neither guy wants to take a step backwards. Remember that this fight between Canelo and Crawford is happening on Mexican Independence Day weekend, so it would be a wise idea to use Mexican talent, Mexican fighters, on the undercard to mark the occasion. And I think that Resendiz versus Mbilli would be the perfect addition to that show.
The caveat is that Resendiz just fought. He literally just fought not but 2 weeks ago. Christian Mbilli is about to fight at the end of this month. So it would be a very quick turnaround for the both of them, and they would both be jeopardizing their positions via the alphabets.
And so, would they really want to do that against each other? I imagine it would take a pretty penny to get both boys in the ring, given what they'd be gambling. But these are the kind of guys that Turki wants to use. He mentioned Christian Mbilli by name, and Jose Resendiz is cut from the same cloth as Christian Mbilli.
Crawford.
Even if you can't get that fight on that particular show, wouldn't be a bad idea to use it for another one. Say, the undercard of Better B versus B Vol 3 in the fall.
I mean, Turki's got the right idea. You need fighters that are willing to gamble, fighters that are going to deliver action, because boxing is not for the wine and cheese crowd.
Not sat here wearing monocles and ascots slurping caviar off our knuckles.
Come on.
I expect Christian to make it past Maciej Sulecki on the 27th, but I don't know that he lands on Canelo's undercard after that. We'll see.